Greetings, friends. Well, as promised from last week's devotion, after taking a week off, we are back with Psalm 121. One thing you can see that I did not do during my time off is get a haircut. That's proving to be a bit problematic during these crazy and difficult times. And my apologies for not making note of the fact that I would be gone for a week or not filming devotions for a week. When I did my last one in Psalm 120, just thought about it, but forgot to do it during the time of recording. So my apologies to those of you who were wondering what was going on. But I have returned, and we will begin again where we left off with Psalm 121. I lift up my eyes to the hills. From where will my help come? My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. He will not let your foot be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. He who keeps Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. And the sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all evil, and he will keep your life. The Lord will keep your going out and your coming in from this time on and forevermore. So, a beautiful psalm and a good place, for us to resume our devotions. In this psalm, you can hear that this psalmist is recounting or writing about the all-encompassing and the constant nature of God's care and concern and presence with us, using expressions that relate to God as being the God of creation, not sleeping or slumbering or ever leaving our side. In fact, being at our right hand, a position of power and authority and companionship. And it's not by day or by night will God ever not be there with us. And he will keep us from all evil. And our comings and our goings from this time on and forevermore. So it's a reminder of God's constant presence in our lives from the time of our birth and prior to that until the time of forevermore, for beyond eternity. And though in this life, God's presence is not actually physically noticeable for us, unlike what it will be in all of eternity when we are with God forevermore in the presence of his grace and his glory, it's an assurance that God does care and is with us. And we need that constant reminder. We need to be reminded that on a regular basis because, as I've said a number of times, there's so many things that would lead us to believe that God is not there for us, that God is not with us, that God is not present. But as I've also said a number of times, that awareness of God's presence does take some effort on our part to be more aware of that. And so while I was not doing devotions for a week, I hope you were finding other ways to stay connected, to new ways. Maybe, I'm sure there's a plethora of great devotions out there, far greater than what I'm doing on these videos, that help you stay connected on a daily basis and continue to remind you of the presence of God. Some of the language in this psalm really sort of stands out for me and really is striking to me about God being our keeper. The Lord is our keeper, and then he will keep us from all evil. And then again in verse 8, the Lord will keep us in our goings out and our comings in forevermore. Even in verse 3 and in verse 4, God is the one who keeps us, and he will not slumber, and he keeps Israel, as if we are God's most precious and valuable possession, as we are. He's never going to let us go. And I have this image of God's grip being around us, his spirit surrounding us and containing us, not keeping us from bad things happening in our lives, but being present for us in the midst of those things, in the midst of all circumstances of our life, so that we can feel that sense of joy and connection with God. But the first verse also is really a great and profound statement. I lift up my eyes to the hills, and from where will my help come? There is nothing, no person, no thing on this earth that can provide us with the kind of help that God can provide us with. There's nothing in this world that is constantly watching over us and keeping us. There's nothing in this world, no person that will not at some point leave us, whether it is by death or whether it's just in the circumstances of them having to go to work or whatever else. And unlike God, who is constantly present with us, the seeking of help from things in this world, and even those people in this world, are not always going to end the way that we wish or be as satisfactory as it will be if we look to God for all of the things that we need, and especially when it comes time for us to need help, because no one can help us like God. It's not going to always change the circumstances of what's going on, but certainly helping us deal with the challenges that we face in this life. And just to think that God is a constant presence in our life, and is that because it's his desire to be a constant presence in our life, is mind-blowing to me. It is absolutely unimaginable that the God who created the heavens and the earth is constantly watching over me and is present with me, and is doing so because it is his heart's desire. There is none greater than God, none that surpasses God, none that even come close to surpassing God. And that's the kind of care and concern that he has for you and for me and for all of his children. So when times of trouble come, to whom shall we turn? Where shall we go? Well, that first option, that first place, that first thing, person, whatever we should turn to is God and seek his help, knowing and trusting that he will never leave us, and that he will keep our life. So that's our devotion for today. We will start again tomorrow with Psalm 122. Until then, be well.